Greetings, everyone. How's everyone tonight? This is Dale Parrish, COS Today host, along with my co-host, Mr. Ken Kashuba, our Indiana State Communications Coordinator. Got to get that out there.
Easy for you to say, exactly.
Easy for me to say. How you doing, Ken?
I'm doing fine. Still working off turkey, but I'm doing fine.
Well, I was telling Ken before we came on. I'm going to put a plug in here. My two of my grandsons played football for Bishop Dwenger High School here in Fort Wayne, Class 4A, and they won the state championship last Saturday. Wife and I were not able to go down to the game at Lucas Oil Stadium, which was probably a good thing because it snowed that night, but watched it on TV. What an exciting game. My goodness.
That's great.
Very, very exciting. So really proud of these young men, and just thought I would mention that. Anyway, moving right on here. Ken, this is broadcast number 324. You've been on board for 182 of them. So moving right up there, bud.
There we go. Moving right along. Chugging right along.
Just for everyone's knowledge now, if you want to find us, go to YouTube and search on our YouTube channel, American Patriots for Convention of States. Got to spell out the whole thing. American Patriots for Convention of States. And there you will find our current broadcasts, past broadcasts, shorts, all sorts of information is available to you. And Ken, you're going to post a link right in the...
I am going to put a direct link into the chat so people can go right to it.
Okay, good. That's how you find us. Don't search on COS Today. That won't help you. You got to go to the YouTube channel. That's the best way to find us. All right. Well, Ken, let's get right into our first segment here. And this segment is what we call the In Focus segment. And this is where we bring on three guests and we talk about what's of interest to each of us in the world news or in the world per se. But it's always an interesting segment, I think. And we each generally have a different thing to talk about. So I'm going to start here with, we'll go ladies first, and we'll bring on Debbie Stewart. Hello, Debbie.
Hi there.
Glad to have you.
Glad to be here. And I think your team played Westfield, didn't they?
No. Westfield is, I think they were in the 6A class.
Oh, okay.
We were in the 4A. We played Ron Colley.
Oh, yeah.
I think another Catholic school, I believe. But
congratulations!
Anyway, exciting time. So then we have two other young individuals as guests tonight. Let's bring on Mr. John Ackerman. Hello, John.
Hi, Dale. Hi, Ken. Hi, Debbie.
Hello, John.
Glad to be here.
John is the host of our roundtable that we do once a month, every fourth Monday. So John wanted to join us this evening. So let's bring on the younger male participant tonight, Mr. David Punt out of Minnesota.
I think that's the only time I've ever been described as that. Thanks for having me.
Oh, David is the newly appointed state director for the state of Minnesota. You weren't involved in the fraud case up in Minnesota, were you, David?
No, I'm not. It's like there are two Minnesotas. It's the area around the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, and then there's the rest of us. Okay. So it's just two separate places. Everything bad happens down there.
As that,
yeah.
Well, you've got it surrounded, David. You should be able to fix it.
We're working on it. Working. We're getting there.
Kind of like Chicago in the state of Illinois, huh?
Exactly the same way. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a big city that's surrounded by a lot of decent folks.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll get there.
Okay. Well, again, this is the In Focus segment, and this is where we talk about what's on our minds, what we're focusing on. And Debbie, let's start ladies first. And I know what Debbie wants to talk about. You want to play your video first, or do you want to say a few things before we start that?
I think it'd be best to play the video first on this one.
Okay. This is a short video that Debbie brought to us. So let's see if we can get that on here.
Getting through Congress. So before it was by the sword, now it's getting themselves into Parliament and then making laws that act as the sword, the Islamophobia law in Canada, M103.
Yeah.
Muslim Brotherhood.
I find that there are only two things which are open to our movements. Ballot or bullet, nothing in between.
I used to say that democracy is haram. Now I say participation in democracy is our jihad. That's our jihad. We're going to fight not through the bullets but the ballots.
Going to the ballot and voting is now an obligatory action, fard ayn. And it is a jihad that is now needs to be done because this is our modern jihad. You can elect a person who wants the sharia.
Because in the United States, what we do know is that in the past election, just this last election, there have been over 800 Muslim candidates running for office.
We may end up with about 50 members of Congress in the next 6 years. That's really the essence of dismantling the system of injustice, is to replace it with the people who represent the Prophet ﷺ.
That's scary, Debbie.
You know, they're right out in the open about what their purpose is. Excuse me. I know we've mentioned in the past there's a 100-year plan that Islam has to take over America. They don't hide it. They don't try to dance around it. They're very upfront about it. And they're 40 years in right now. And I don't know if you've seen it. It's like a creep. Slowly more people are running. Slowly more people are becoming representatives and senators and governors and mayors. And it's just a slow thing. They're willing to take their time to establish their goal. Now, it's interesting when he said the ballot is now a jihad. That means it's a very worthy goal. That means they're basically saying to the Muslims out there, hey, this needs to be priority now. If you're a Muslim, this needs to be a priority. And so their plan is to take over America. And, you know, I know that there are other countries that we also have. There are things that we are concerned about, like China, you know, always wanting to like get into our stuff, right? I mean, right. But this is a religion. This is more than just, I want to be in charge. This is their whole being. Everything they do revolves around their belief system. And their main belief system is that if you're not a Muslim, that you are considered a heathen, you're considered outside the Muslim religion, and you're a lesser. Now, we meet Muslim people every day that are wonderful people. And so this is the extreme view, but this is what the Quran teaches. And there's a lot of beautiful Muslims that are just following a religion. They're following what they've been taught, and they are wonderful people. But these people who have the goal in mind, the jihad in mind, that are pushing this whole agenda are not meaning well for our country at all. And when push comes to shove, if they ever got enough of the population where they realize they have enough of the population to make a difference, once they give the order, everybody in the Muslim religion is going to line up with it because they know they have to. It's not a choice. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I just been kind of watching the news over the last year, and there's whole thing in Texas. It's called Epic City. It's 400 acres that they want to be an Islamic neighborhood, a community with a mosque and schools and ballparks, and they want an assisted living home. They want schools. They want, you know, everything a community would want. Governor Abbott has been pushing back on that. Last I heard, they're changing the name to the Meadows.
Yeah.
And there's still some talk back and forth as to whether this is, they're saying, oh, we don't want to institute Sharia law, but we know like Dearborn, like they push for that, but we still have our constitutional law. So I'm not quite sure where the Texas thing is going right
Yeah.
But
Well, you know, not too long ago, not too many episodes ago, one of our team members did a full presentation on Sharia law, and it was quite enlightening. I didn't realize as much about it as he did, and I cannot imagine how any woman in this country could be in favor of Sharia law. I mean, the female in society ruled by Sharia law is so terrible. I mean, the way they're treated is terrible. I don't understand how people could support that. So.
You know, what's interesting is if you go to prison, 80% of Americans that go to prison come out Muslim. So they are pushing it in the prisons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And the Muslim population is growing at 6 times the national rate. It's through birth, it's through conversion, and it's through just sheer numbers that they are growing. And that's kind of their goal. Like many of the women know that, hey, I have to have a lot of kids and I'm going to raise my kids as Muslims. And then they are then going to do the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they all, it's like, I wish sometimes Christianity had the willingness to grab a hold of the mission of Jesus the way Muslims grab a hold of the mission of the Muslim jihad. Does that make sense? Or the goal? I think the goal is wrong, what they're doing. I don't think it's a good goal, the extremists, right? Whereas a Christian goal is really good, but we're not all on board with that. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense. I just did a quick Google search, and there was a trial in August in Washington State, and there were 2 parents. They were being charged with an honor killing, and I haven't been able to read the story except beyond the headlines and the subhead, but it sounds like it's the same case that's going on now, and I think it's in Denmark. All right, there's a father and a brother are being charged with the murder of his sister because she refused to wear the headscarf around the house, and she wanted to go against the religion, and they went out and took her out to a lake and drowned her. And now they're on trial right now. I want to know if, and Europe is facing this a little bit closer, a little bit further on than we are right now. The Washington case, the parents were found not guilty. Now it's very possible that it had everything to do with the evidence presented, and not to do with the honor killing. That was not established as a motive apparently, but that's where we're very close to having a Sharia law right now, and Christianity doesn't have that kind of ruling system. We have a system that says you can more or less do as long as you want, as long as you love your neighbor and love the Lord. And that doesn't, I mean, nobody's going to kill anybody over that. It's a tough spot we're in.
Now, Debbie, you've committed to doing a full presentation on this, right?
Yes.
At an upcoming date. So
absolutely.
I think it's going to be very interesting to see your full presentation. You know, David, I think there was something on the news I saw just this evening about another honor killing where a father and 2 sons, and his 2 sons killed their sister, drowned their sister because she wouldn't wear the head thing, right. And she was too westernized, and they drowned her, and the father has left the country, and so the 2 sons are now facing the charges here and facing justice here in the States. So it's amazing. It's just amazing.
I'm watching the old series Homeland. It's on Netflix right now. It's an 8-year series, and it's a story about a guy who was in Afghanistan. He was a Marine. He was captured, and then the story so far suggests that he was turned. He was brainwashed, and now he's back in the States. He's been free. He's back with his wife, and he's practicing bowing to Mecca 3 times a day or 5 times a day. He goes into the garage and he's got a prayer rug and all the rest of it. So he's become a practicing Muslim. I can't tell what the rest of the story is because I haven't got there yet. But it's an interesting portrayal of these kinds of things, and it's around us all over. It's around us every day.
All right, Debbie, any final words on this, or?
No, I would just say keep your eyes out. I mean, when she said that they had more than 800 Muslims run for office this past, I don't think we're realizing how serious they are about this.
Yeah.
800. That's a lot of people.
Yeah,
so
it is.
I think we just need to wake up a little bit. And I think Trump is starting to wake up with, I saw he's stopping like immigration from third world countries right now. I don't know where this thing is going to go, but just we need to keep our eyes out and be watchful and prayerful.
Yeah. All right. John, how about you changing the topic here? Get something else we're talking about here.
Well, sure. I want to talk about 2 days that happened last week. We call them Thanksgiving and Black Friday.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, before anybody gets upset, Black Friday is not a racist term. It comes from the accounting field, whereas traditionally so many small businesses were operating in the red, that is, at a financial loss for the first 11 months of every year. But then on Black Friday, when Christmas shopping started, they went into the black.
Yeah.
And so they started showing a profit, and that's really what it means. But it follows Thanksgiving. And folks might remember that President Lincoln proclaimed the last Friday of November as a day to give thanks. He issued that proclamation on October 3rd, 1863. Now, if you think about it, what was going on in the United States in 1863?
Yeah.
Something called the War Between the States. Most people call it the Civil War. I've heard people call it the Uncivil War.
Yeah.
Think about that. But at the height of the Civil War, I mean, this was in the wake of Gettysburg, which happened in July of 1863. In October, President Lincoln proclaims a day of Thanksgiving. Now, he said it would be the last Thursday of November. And since then, it's been changed to the fourth Thursday of November. Most years, that is the last Thursday, but every once in a while, there's a fifth Thursday. So anyway, it started that way. Now, President Lincoln, in that proclamation, invited all Americans to observe a day of thanksgiving and prayer, acknowledging the blessings that they had received throughout the year. He urged citizens to remember those who were affected by the Civil War, including widows, orphans, and those suffering from the conflict. The proclamation aimed to foster a sense of national unity and gratitude, encouraging all Americans to come together in a spirit of thankfulness. And that's kind of what we do, in addition to watching NFL football in the afternoon and evening. But most Americans, as far as I can tell, observe that fourth Thursday of November as a day to give thanks, thanking divine providence, thanking the Lord, thanking the God of all creation for all the blessings of the year, for family, for health, for employment, for material blessings that we've been able to accumulate, and we take that day to give thanks. Now, it seems to me more than just a little ironic that the very next day, before sunrise, millions of Americans line up outside the doors of these department stores and big box stores so they can get more stuff. Yesterday was Thursday. We gave thanks for what we had. And then on Friday, we're eager and hungry and materialistic, and we want to get more stuff, you know. And the jury is out on whether you really get good prices or not. But I've heard report after report of people who get to the store at 6:30 in the morning and they find the shelves empty. The item that was advertised, the thing that they wanted to buy, that big screen TV or whatever, gone. And there's always reports of violence.
Did that happen again this year? Were there?
There were some.
There were some.
Yeah,
I just I kind of thought that the online shopping was going to even take a greater toll on this stuff.
Well, that was today, Cyber Monday.
Okay.
and to try to balance that all off, somebody invented tomorrow is Giving Tuesday. You know, after you've
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
after you've spent all your money on getting stuff for yourself and for your family for Christmas gifts, then you think about others and you do a little giving thing on Tuesday. But yeah, I did look it up this afternoon, and there were reports, not a lot, but there were reports of violence. Two or more customers would start fighting over, you know, I want that crock pot, or I want that big screen TV, or whatever it is. And it just seems to me that our country has fallen into a state of irony where on one day we're giving thanks for what we have, and on the next day we're saying, give me more, give me more. I don't have enough. And so that's my commentary. And I want to echo something that Debbie said. If we, as believers in the Lord Jesus Christ, would take his mandate as seriously as the Muslims take their mandate from the Quran, we might see a change in the culture, and we might truly turn into a thankful people rather than a greedy people. And that's all I have to say about that.
You know, Debbie and John, well, all of you, I'm wondering if this turning point movement, this Charlie Kirk movement impact, is it strong enough to maybe offset some of this?
One can hope. I sure hope so.
I really don't know. I can't get it in my head how big a movement the Charlie Kirk impact is. It seems to me like it's quite large. Is it large enough to offset this? I don't know.
Well, Dale, I think it's going to take time to tell that, because they're starting hundreds or thousands of new chapters in high schools and colleges all across the nation. And it's going to take several years for that new way of thinking to work its way into the culture. But I think it's a sign of a positive sign, and we may see some change. We need some change. If we don't see it, we face the dissolution of our republic. And
I might mention Ken and I have made some contacts. We've got a couple turning point people that are going to be coming on to talk about turning point, specifically here in Indiana, but they have knowledge nationally too. But
yeah,
matter of fact, we had a Zoom call with the key person here in Indiana this afternoon. So our organization, Convention of States and Turning Point, we have a lot of things in similar, especially how we're organized.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to be able to work with each other.
Good to hear.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Debbie. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, actually, we're trying to start one in our school that I teach at, where I teach Constitution class, and we went to Greenwood from Westfield down to Greenwood last week, and we went to a chapter meeting down there, and that Indiana representative was there, and he led the meeting for their group, but we just sat
really?
to see what it was like, and he was kicking it off for them, so we learned everything that he was saying the clubs would. They're calling them clubs in high school. I forget what the first name of the club is, but it's a something club. And the thing is there's technically like a lot of interest at the beginning, because kids are like, yeah, what happened to Charlie Kirk, but then they don't know what are we doing here. So, and each club gets to set its own vision. So like, he's like, if you really are big on like right to life, then you can kind of make that your vision for your club. So there's a lot of things to work through and then fit within the bounds of what they're looking at with Turning Point. But then some of the kids don't realize the commitment. And so I don't like, it'd be really interesting a year from now, because all these kids showed interest, like 30, but then only like 9 signed up to go to the meeting. So there's already like in a month or two, it's already dropped down like 2 months worth, 2.5.
Yeah.
Going on 3 months. It was September 10th, wasn't it? When he died. Oh, yeah. So coming up on 3 months now. So if we could just keep that momentum going, but I'm not so sure what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
Time will tell.
Yeah. All right. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks. David, how about you?
I stumbled across an interesting, far-reaching conspiracy theory, and I don't know if any of it's true, but it sure is interesting, and it encompasses all kinds of things, and it encompasses Hillary and Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein and all kinds of activities like that. I'm not going to describe what the three of them were doing or what they were doing, who they were doing with, but also a guy by the name of Reid Hoffman. Reid Hoffman is a billionaire. He's the guy who started LinkedIn a number of years back, and I'm not sure if that's the way he made his billions, but there's the guy that laid out the conspiracy theory for me talked about the background of Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and something called Pizzagate. It was something way back in I'm thinking it was before Trump, and it was during the time that Hillary was the Secretary of State, and it involved kids, it involved children, it involved farms, and it involved rather really unseemly stuff. And the guy who was outlining this conspiracy theory said that these people take care of each other and they watch out for each other. And if one of them gets into trouble, they do something to back them up or to say good things about it. One of the things that Reid Hoffman did the other day was he put up on X a picture of Mark Kelly in his uniform and I don't know if this is true. I don't know if Mark Kelly is in with these people and with Epstein and the Clintons and all the rest of this stuff. But it sure is interesting. I mean, of all the people, and even of all the people in that videotape, he should pick out Mark Kelly of all guys.
Yeah, that's interesting, huh?
It's a fascinating story, and it's interesting as all get out. Very little has been proven. It's all circumstantial evidence, pictures of this and pictures of that, and I read it on Substack, which is one of the things that I'm involved in. But the guy's got a column, and I switched over to the Twitter story, and it had a series of pictures with Bill and one of the girls, and a picture of Hillary, and a picture of and one of Hillary's employees is the girl that is the woman that continued the gatherings and the group activities, and had a picture of herself with a number of children, and just unseemly stuff. And of all people to drag into this, Mark Kelly.
And now Mark Kelly being one of the 6
seditious 6, yes.
Yes, seditious 6. Okay. That's interesting. That one I had not heard. I had not heard about that one.
And I thought, I couldn't. And you wanted to talk about the videotape,
Yeah.
and the videotape has gotten me my undies in a bunch as well. I mean, I'm just absolutely incensed. From the first time that I saw the videotape, and my partner the next day on the radio asked me, he says, "Have you seen the tape?" And I said, "Yes." He says, "What do you think of it?" And I said, "They all should be charged with treason. They should all get the last cigarette just before the firing squad shoots, or their
Oh my
last meal."
goodness! Oh my goodness!
I mean, they are involved in disturbing the chain of command between commander and troop,
yeah.
and that's what they're trying to do. And they're doing it for the silliest of reasons, for political purposes, to get votes.
Yeah.
That was what I was going to talk about tonight too. This seditious six and the video and everything. Ever since I saw that video, I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off here, Dave. Did you have anything more you wanted to add to?
I wanted to do a good segue into what you were talking about.
I've been thinking, I love analogies. I think they're so helpful in trying to understand something. And I've been thinking about what are some good analogies that compare to what they've done with this video. So I did some research, and I got a couple analogies here that I want to throw out to you, see what you think about them. This is the courtroom analogy. Think of 6 former judges posting a message telling jurors, if you don't personally agree with the judge's instructions, consider ignoring them.
Mm.
Think about that. Okay. Here's another one that I thought was very interesting. The sports team analogy. Picture a group of retired quarterbacks releasing a video telling current players, if you disagree with the coach's game plan, just run your own play.
Mm.
Now, all these, you can do these things, obviously, but there are consequences doing these things. If you're the quarterback and you just decide to do your own thing instead of the coach's plan, you may find that you're out of a job pretty soon. And of course the courtroom thing. That's even. Here's another one. This is the hospital surgery analogy. Imagine a group of retired surgeons publicly telling operating room nurses, if you think the surgeon's directive could be questionable, you are free to override it. Just think of what the consequences there that could happen. I think I don't know what's going to happen on these, but with these individuals, but it's pure. To me, it's very obvious. The whole intent of this thing was to undermine Trump.
Right. What was Dale? What was Kelly's rank in the military?
Captain. He was a captain.
He was a captain. Okay, so
right.
he was a captain.
Navy captain.
I understand that in the Navy, is that right? That's equivalent to a colonel,
right?
In the Army.
Okay, so my
high rank.
My 2 cents on this is, excuse me, but there are 2 oaths that are taken, one by everybody who enlists, and one by anyone who's an officer. And the one who enlists as an officer does not have to follow the orders of the president. Those that are enlisted have to follow the orders of the officers, because the officers are put in charge with recognizing what is legal and what is not legal. So I think Mr. Kelly, of all people, should have known the difference between the 2 of these, and instead of coming out and trying to rile up the whole military as one big objection to President Trump, because obviously that's where the arrows are pointed, that of all people, Mr. Kelly should be a little more forthright on who exactly is responsible for what's legal and what is illegal. And at that point, I'd like to have somebody in the audience ask him, Mr. Kelly, what can you name one of the illegal orders that these people are supposed to be running away from?
And subsequent interviews, they've all said that they didn't have any illegal orders in mind.
Right.
Exactly.
And the UCMJ considers all orders to be legal until proven illegal later on by a court of law, and not by an officer, but by a court of law, by a judge.
Mm-hmm.
So they are so even though you think the order is unlawful and you disobey it, you're still going to go to Leavenworth until the judge finally says that was an illegal law. You can go free now.
Yeah.
And maybe 5-6 years. You could just enough time to make a small pile of big rocks into little rocks. but yeah, absolutely. I think all of them, 5 of them are up for re-election in the fall.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see them go 0 for 5.
Well, it so happens that our guest here, David Punt, has created a Dave's Daily Dose on this topic. And I thought I would play that to kind of wind up this segment. So let's take a look at that.
By now, hopefully, Mark Kelly is wondering to himself and Gabby, what the heck have we done? As life in the United States presses on, fewer and fewer institutions have the strength and fortitude as in days of old. The United States military is one of the last, and we have done it hard. This is Dave's Daily Dose on BrokenRoadRadio.com. I'm David Allen Punt. Because Mark was a career guy, he was allowed to retire to do other stuff with his life, subject to recall to active duty. Everybody who wore the uniform is. My friend Jim was a navigator on a jet airplane. If the Marines run short for whatever reason, he'd have to get his uniform dry cleaned and his shoes polished, just like the rest of us. I mixed photographic chemicals to process 9-inch wide, 500 feet long acetate negatives. The pictures had been taken high above enemy territory before and after bombing runs. Some was training, some was real live action. Most of what I did has found its way to the Smithsonian and replaced with digital photography. Much better pictures and smaller negatives. Could I be recalled to active duty? Sure. Would I go? Absolutely. I love this country, and I would do anything to make sure it gets its leg up on a second 250 years. And I think in the cool, dark hours before sunrise, so does Mark. At least I hope he does. Is he rolling over to the Mrs. Gabby Giffords, leaning up on one shoulder and saying, what have I gotten myself into? He was a captain in the Navy, a fairly high rank, similar to a bird colonel in the Marines, a colonel in the Army. Not a general, but pretty darn close. There are not that many guys and gals with Mark's rank and experience in the military, making it more than likely that he would be called back. He went to the Merchant Marine Academy and Naval Academy for graduate work, so Uncle Sam has a few bucks invested in Gabby's husband. So who talked this obvious patriot with lots and lots of experience putting his life on the line for the country he loves into doing something stupid like this video? Interfering with the U.S. military chain of command between the president and frontline troops. How does that make sense, no matter what you want out of it? And what does he hope to get out of it? Make Donald Trump look bad? More votes in the midterm? Slotkin was in the CIA, possibly the same level of patriotism than a Navy captain. Then again, John Brennan and Russiagate was in the CIA as well. How much damage did he do to the agency? The other 4 in the video were in other branches of the military, completed honorable service, got the discharge. What were they thinking? that doing a video telling military men and women what they already know was somehow a public service? Might be time for a rethink instead of going on TV to explain what they did and why. I'm David Allen Punt.
That was a good one, David.
Thank you.
Hear, hear.
Yeah. Well, that pretty well winds up. Ken, did you have? I kind of skipped over you. Did you have any?
That's all right. I kind of enjoyed jumping in on that one. That one was on my mind as well. I'll just mention mine very briefly because there's not a whole lot to it, but it's another look at Minnesota, and we're hoping that Dave cleans this up in the next 6 months or so. But Somali-led fraud under the governor, our famous Governor Walz. While he's out, doing the hand signals and the dances and everything else, he's letting the Somalis rape the American taxpayer of $1 billion. All of this being just taken and delivered and back off into Somali hands. And these people were all ushered in very nicely, very gently by our former man of blank reasoning. I won't go mention his name because it's something I've decided I no longer will mention the name again. Because of the harm that it's done to our country. And here's a prime example in Minnesota of these people I think what I read was in 78 of the 86 individuals charged so far, they're all Somalis or Somali ancestry. So, that's all I was gonna bring up. So just add that to the thing by Kelly and everything else that's going on. And, we have a lot to clean up yet.
And the guy you talked about that you won't mention his name is running for re-election. He wants to make it 3 terms. He wants to go one more time. Yep.
And he's going to have Obama as a running mate, right?
It could be. It's possible. His lieutenant governor is running for the Senate seat that Tina Smith is giving up. Yeah, I don't know why she's leaving. I have no idea because she's only in her early 60s. She's hardly ripe for retirement. But
she's got another 25 years in
easily. She could. Oh yeah, easily. Yeah. But she's given it up, and the lieutenant governor, who's I think she's not Chippewa. She's but she's from one of the tribes up in the northern part of the state. But she's running for her seat, and there's a few others though because it'll be interesting.
Yeah, David, could you get that all cleared up by our next broadcast and come on and give us an idea?
David, is there such a thing as brain freeze in Minnesota?
It was 2 degrees above this morning.
Oh boy,
it'll be -2 by tonight. So possible.
Some months ago, I interviewed the prior state directors for Minnesota. There were two ladies that were co-state directors, and I wasn't aware of this, but they told me, hey, Minnesota is the California of the Midwest.
Yeah.
And they started rattling off various policies and so forth in the state of Minnesota. I was shocked, but I believe them now. I do believe them now.
Yeah. And it hasn't always been that way. We've even had Republican governors. I mean, it's been a while. Tim Pawlenty was one of our better ones, and we've got a long history of Republican governors and good middle of the road politics.
Yeah,
but not lately. The biggest damage has been done in the last 3 or 4 years when Democrats have been running all 3 branches of the state government. The 4 or 5 years ago, we had an $18 billion surplus. Taxpayers put in that much too much, and there was chat about giving it back to the people, giving it back to $1,000 here and $1,000 there. We got 200, and we got lots more programs. Oh man.
Oh yeah, find a way to spend it. Yeah.
Yep. And he did. And
all right, folks. That's it for this segment. another great segment. Thank you very much, all of you, for your input here. And so
Thank you.
have a good evening, Vice. Thank you
Bye.
very much.
Thanks much.
Good night.
Let me get Debbie off there. All right.
There we go.
David's off. Very, very good. Well, Ken, let's we skipped over Maringo Mike here early in our introduction. So let's let Maringo Mike say a few words here, and then we'll get with our next segment here. Okay?
Sounds good.
Rango Mike here, asking you to hit that like, subscribe, and especially that notification bell so you'll be reminded every time we go live. We really do appreciate your support. Now, back to our program.
All right.
Okay.
Good guy. Good guy. Well, our next segment is another installment of our Meet the Founders series. This is a series that Larry Hudson, one of our region captains here in Indiana, has been doing for some time now. And the current founder that he's on is Ben Franklin. And this is part number 5 of his series. And he says he's got one more part to go on Ben Franklin.
Okay.
But I'll tell you, I've learned a lot about Ben Franklin that I did not know about from Larry. He's done just a fantastic job. And I think you're all going to enjoy this part 5. Caught up with him a few days ago, and we recorded this. So let's jump right into that, and we'll be back as soon as we're done here. All right?
All right.
Okay. Greetings, everyone. Dale Parrish, host COS Today. Well, we're back again with Larry Hudson in our Meet the Founders series. We've been talking about Ben Franklin, and this will be part 5 of Larry's presentation on Ben Franklin. Larry says he thinks we got one more part to go, part 6. But so tonight we'll do just strictly part 5. So let me bring Larry on and we'll get started here. Hi, Larry.
Hello, Dale. How are you?
Good, good, good.
I didn't ask you. You got snow up there?
Not yet, but we're supposed to get something like 5-6 inches tomorrow.
That's what I thought I saw.
Yeah. Going to be kind of a messy day, I think.
Get the shovel out and get ready.
Yeah. That reminds me, I need to start the snowblower to make sure it starts up. That's another thing I need to do. All right, Larry, let's get started here. We left off in part 4. Franklin pretty much had decided to become a patriot and an ardent patriot, I might say. So after returning home from England in 1775, of course, he's now a delegate to the Continental Congress and ready to pursue a path to independence. So you want to pick it up there? Does that look good?
We'll do it. Yeah,
Good.
That's about right. Yeah, remember his wife's died during his absence while he was in Europe. His son's estranged, remember, from a previous episode.
Sad story, yeah. Sad part, yeah.
So he comes home to serve in the Continental Congress. And as you said, this is a spring of 1775. So we talked a little bit last time about him ultimately flipping, if you will, or changing sides, if you will. It's difficult to pinpoint when this actually occurred. The Hutchinson letters that we discussed last time, that debacle and or debacle, and then his time in the cockpit, they call it. I think they also call it in the dock in England. He was defending himself before the Privy Council, the King's Privy Council, and that was a defining moment. You remember I read a little quote, I think, from a letter that he wrote to a fellow printer, actually, a Brit who was also a member of Parliament, and he said, you and I were long friends, and you're now my enemy. and I am yours, B. Franklin. And that I think pretty much sums up his switch now, and he's on the issue of independence. He's going to become a patriot, a very ardent.
Well, now that he's written that letter to his friend in England. So what does he do? What now does he do in the way of joining the patriot cause?
Well, he comes back home, of course, to Pennsylvania, and he's elected to the Second Continental Congress right off the bat. Now, we think back, the battles of Lexington and Concord have already occurred. That was back in April. Battle of Bunker Hill has occurred. So there's fighting between the colonies now and Great Britain. King George has even declared that the colonies are in rebellion. Remember, he had long espoused some form of a confederation, I think he called it, of states, as far back as really the French and Indian War with his Albany plan. And it was a plan that he had come up with back then that was a confederation, of course, that would be loyal to the king, not one for independence, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But it did lay the groundwork, I think, for what will eventually become our federal system that we have today, a division of powers, if you will, between the central government and the various states. He called it the United Colonies of North America. And so he's become one of the most ardent opponents now of Great Britain in the Continental Congress. And there's no longer any doubt, I think, where he stands regarding separation.
Wow. Well, that's really fascinating. What I don't remember any of this, quite honestly. So what more can you tell us about this?
Well, I'm not that familiar with the Albany plan either. It was somewhat new for me when I started reading it, but he's readopting it now. Okay, we talked about it originally with the French and Indian War, so we're now in, I think, 1775 in the spring, and he put forth this idea again, but this time he called it the Articles of Confederation and perpetual union. Okay, and under this plan, this is interesting, I think. Congress would be comprised of only one chamber.
Yeah.
He called it a General Assembly, no Senate. And it would be filled with proportional representation, that is, states, based upon population, much that we have today. But instead of a president, the Congress would appoint a 12-man executive council. And those members then would serve staggered, I think it was 3-year terms. And he knew that this plan basically amounted to a declaration of independence. The country, he's a little bit ahead of the country now, actually.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, and so he's not really ready to propose this publicly. So he merely has it read into the congressional record in the Congress, and he doesn't force a vote on it, but it's going to set the groundwork for the actual Articles of Confederation, which the Congress will begin drafting in the following year.
Okay, interesting. Well, he's now almost 70 years old, delegate from Pennsylvania, and he's in the Second Continental Congress. And now he's put forth this plan for a confederation of states, got it into the record, but not voted on, I understand, right? So
No.
Where do we go from here?
Well, he winds up, he's in the Congress. He winds up being the chair of a committee to get rid of the British postal system to start off with. So he's appointed Postmaster General of the entire colonies, all 13 colonies. He's charged with, improving their efficiency, increasing the speed, working out delivery methods, etc. And it's interesting. I read in one account where he actually donated his annual salary, which was a fairly decent sum. I think 1,000 pounds a year. I don't know what that would come out to in dollars, but it was for the care of wounded soldiers that we've started now. We're at war, pretty much. We're dying now as well as not. So he was put in charge. Additionally, I want to get this right. He was put on a committee that was to lead the efforts to collect lead for ammunition and for devising ways of manufacturing gunpowder. He even suggested that soldiers be trained to use bows and arrows to compensate for the gunpowder shortages that the colonies were experiencing.
Really? Bows and arrows? Really?
Yeah, I found that interesting. Yeah, he offered a number of reasons. Okay. First off, he said he felt that a man could shoot as accurately with a bow and arrow once he was taught to do that as with a musket, and that he could actually fire or loose, I think was the term he used, he could loose 4 arrows in the same amount of time that a man could charge his weapon and fire 1 bullet. So he was 4 times more effective in the way of, launching missiles at the enemy. And he maintained that from his experience, or actually not his actual experience, but from experience that he had read about and heard about in the French and Indian War, in our fighting with the Indians in that war, that a lot of arrows coming at you was a terrifying thing, a lot of shrapnel in the air, if you will. So, that was his proposal.
Wow. Wow. Well, apparently he took on several other assignments as well, right? So
yeah, interestingly, I found this interesting. George Washington, of course, was just coming on the scene. He's in Cambridge now, trying to put together what will become the Continental Army. And Franklin was put in charge of a committee that was to assist him. Didn't have any military experience, but he's nevertheless called upon to assist Washington. He's also appointed as chairman, again, of a committee called the Committee of Secret Correspondence. That committee was, I think, to kind of secret, as the name implies, maintain contacts with individuals in at least 2 foreign nations, Spain and France, who were they've been against the English off and on over centuries, and bring them to the American cause. And he did meet with several agents from France. I'm not sure if any came from Spain, and but nothing came out of it early on. But it did set up groundwork that he would later pursue to good fruition. And I read where one historian, at least in a book that I read, called this committee actually the forerunner of the State Department that we have now. It was a natural transition.
Well, I tell you, Ben Franklin played an important role in organizing our country, didn't he? I see in your outline here, he even went to Canada on a mission. What was that all about?
Yeah, they sent him to Canada, not by himself. He went with several people. I don't have their names, but he went to Montreal. The purpose was to try to persuade the French Canadians to join the American colonies in their revolt. A little friction between the French Canadians and the mother country. Mission was a failure, primarily because of the French and Indian War. We fought alongside the British in that war and inflicted a lot of casualties on the French. So I think it was a non-starter probably from the beginning. More importantly, he became desperately ill. He's 70 years old. And this is in the middle of, well, it's not in the middle of winter. It's in the spring, but it's still cold. They got iced in Saratoga on their return trip. He's so ill, in fact, that he didn't think he would survive. Started writing some letters to some of his family members and some associates that he was very fond of, basically telling them goodbye.
Really, really.
Yeah. Last will and testament in letters.
Well, he didn't die on this trip. So what happened next?
Well, the ice eventually melted, as you might suspect, and yeah, he did regain his health enough to get back to Philadelphia. He was also suffering, I guess, from gout, something that bothered him through much of his later years, so bad that he really couldn't get out of bed. And while he was away in Canada, importantly, a pamphlet that you're aware of, small, I don't know, less than 50 pages, came out entitled Common Sense. And many, in fact, even thought he had perhaps written it because it reflected some of his sentiments. Turns out it was none other than Thomas Paine. And interestingly, Franklin began a friendship with Paine that brought him to this country. He funded him to come to the country, booked him passage, helped him get his first job as a printer. Really, really interesting. And of course, his pamphlet called for separation from Great Britain. It was, I don't know, an overnight success, I guess you could say, sold thousands of copies. And about that time, it generated enough interest in Congress that I think it was Richard Henry Lee came up with that famous quote, "These united colonies are and of a right ought to be free and independent states." And so we're getting very close now to drafting a formal Declaration of Independence. And of course, this is about simultaneously, his son is governor, New Jersey.
Right.
But the Provisional Congress has taken over. We got patriots in charge now. We got actually two Congresses there, and they just dissolved the royal government, and they've voted to have him imprisoned, as we discussed, in a previous episode. So. Right. We know that Franklin, the father, never did anything to help his son avoid the punishment that he's going to receive.
Yeah,
as a loyalist.
Okay, well, you mentioned that in June, the Congress moved forward to a motion for independence.
Right.
Okay. And we all know that the Declaration of Independence was signed on July 4th.
Right.
So how was Franklin involved in that?
Well, think back to our series on Thomas Jefferson. You'll remember, we all know that Jefferson wrote it, obviously. Franklin was part of that. There were 5 members that were chosen, to write the Declaration. Jefferson, John Adams, Roger Sherman, and Robert Livingston, along with Franklin. And they were put on a committee to draft the formal declaration. And we all know that Jefferson wound up writing it, but Franklin and Adams were key members initially in editing it before it went to the legislature for final approval. In fact, I've seen pictures of it. I haven't gotten to Washington, D.C., but the original rough draft copy of Jefferson's copy still exists. And interestingly, and to some alarmingly, Franklin's edits were he changed some of Jefferson's words that we pretty much memorized. You recall Jefferson's text read, "We hold these truths to be self-evident." Well, originally Jefferson wrote, "We hold these truths to be sacred and undeniable." But Franklin struck those and changed them to be self-evident, which alarmed a lot of people.
Interesting. Why was it alarming to some, do you think?
Well, some historians would say or suggest that in using the word sacred, Jefferson was asserting that the principle of human equality, dignity, before God was God-given and therefore inalienable, and it was, I guess, religious in nature. Okay.
Oh, all right.
Franklin, remember, is a deist. That doesn't mean he's irreligious, but Franklin is a deist and perhaps not as religious as some would have hoped. And so his edit turned into an assertion by many that it was rational and therefore secular in nature. I haven't read anything where Jefferson objected to the edit, but Congress, when it got to Congress, showed less restraint than the four other members of the committee when they got their chance to look at it. They hammered it. You might remember from the Jefferson episode that I mentioned large sections were altered. Some were even omitted entirely. Most notably was the section on slavery. There was a large section on slavery where Jefferson criticized the king for perpetuating the slave trade. Yeah, that didn't get in, obviously, into the Declaration of Independence.
Well, that's interesting. So that was in there.
Yeah, we don't find that at all. Jefferson was distraught. Franklin tried to console him. At the signing, Hancock is said to have remarked, you might remember, we've got to hang together. All of us must indeed all hang together, or most assuredly we'll all hang separately. That's what Franklin came up with. Yeah, you're right. If we don't hang together, we'll all hang separately.
Interesting. Well, listen, Larry, we're about out of time here, and I think this might be a good point to cut it off here. Basically, we're at the point where the colonies now have officially declared their independence, and the war has really begun in earnest, right? So I think we'll pick it up there, if that's okay with you, the next time, and see what's next for Franklin from that point on.
We're going to go with the Articles of Confederation, and there is one more peace attempt between Franklin and the Howe brothers, the admiral and the general, and that would bring us right up to really the Franklin leaving again and going to become an emissary in France. So the war is going to start. The war has started, but it's going to continue for a number of years, as you well know. It wasn't short-lived.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'll tell you, Ben Franklin, you're teaching us all. He has played a major role in the development of this country. More so, I think, than a lot of people realize.
Yeah, it's kind of behind the scenes, as you know. He's not a combatant, and he's an old man, actually. So,
right. Hey, watch what you say about that being an old man. I mean, you know.
Well, we're both that age.
we're both about that age.
We're older, Franklin.
All right, Larry. Great. Thank you very much once again, and we'll be looking to part 6. Which you think we'll be able to wrap it up in that part, huh?
Yeah, I think we will.
All right, Larry. Okay, Larry. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
You bet.
Well, folks, that's a wrap on part 5 of the Meet the Founders with Ben Franklin. Larry Hudson's been doing a fantastic job on this series, and folks, we have much more to come. So we'll cut it off at that point. So y'all have a good day, and look forward to seeing you again for part 6 on Ben Franklin. Well, I tell you, Larry, he's amazing. The research that he's done on this.
Yep. He
got to hand it to him, man.
Mentioned it before. Yep, he's a deep diver.
He sure is. Well, listen, Ken, before we get into our next segment, why don't you take a little time and tell us about that QR code up there?
Oh, that little code up there? Yeah, that QR code is our support code. It's a way for you to take your smartphone out, get a little active and snap a shot of that, which will take you to a place you can put in your name and email address, and that'll show us that you are supporting our programming here. It'll allow you to get in and basically access our platform and be able to put in some suggestions or comments, what you'd like to see maybe and what you're liking we're doing. Just a support QR code. That's all there is. There's no donation. There's no asking for money. We can't take any money. So we're just looking for your support, and that's one way to give it to us.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Ken. Well, Ken, we're gonna. I don't want to say too much ahead of this next segment because I think I explained it as I start on this segment. But we are starting a new series here where periodically we're going to focus on one of the regions in Convention of States. We've got, I think there are 8 regions across the country in the United States, Convention of States regions. A group of states can go together to make a region. So we're asking each regional director to come on, not only the director, but the director and any assistants to come on and talk about their region and tell us, educate us about their region. And we're going to start off here with the flyover region. And again, I'll be repeating this in the recording here, but I caught up with the regional director, Dale Tipton, and his assistant, Amy McCutcheon, and spent a little time with them to talk about the flyover region. So without further ado, let me jump right into that, and we'll be back shortly.
Sounds good.
We're starting a new series here today. We're going to be bringing on our regional directors for Convention of States throughout the country, and we're going to give them an opportunity to tell you about their region and what they're doing, so that, and the states that are involved in their region. So hopefully this will be informative to you, and if you live within any of the states in their particular region, you'll know who to contact and how to get started with Convention of States. So today we're gonna, like I said, this will be our first regional report. So let me bring on the 2 individuals we have with us today. Let's bring on Mr. Dale Tipton, is the regional director, and Amy McCutcheon is the assistant regional director. Now, Amy, you know, I've been calling you ARD, assistant regional director, but is it properly regional director assistant? Is that the?
Yes, it is.
That's
RDA.
RDA. Okay. All right. And Dale, of course, I know your title very well. So Dale previously was the state director here in Indiana, and I've known Dale ever since he came into Convention of States. So he's got quite a track record here in Indiana, and you just took over regional director, right, Dale?
Yeah, effective August 11th.
August 11th. Okay, good. Okay, well, let's start with, what's the name of your region, Dale? I'll go with you first.
All right. Well, we are called the flyover region.
All right. Now, there's a reason for that name, right?
Sure. I mean, the bulk of the states that we have are directly in the center of the country, which is commonly known as flyover country, especially if you're from either the East Coast or the West Coast.
Okay. One of you, what are the states involved in your region? Amy, you want to tackle that one?
Sure. Starting in the center of the country, like Dale said, we have Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. And then our good friends out towards the west area, Idaho and Utah.
Okay. All right. So right in the center of the country. Now, I used to be able to recite these, but as we grew larger and larger, as far as past states are involved, I don't know if I can remember all the states that are past states. But how many states in your region are past states. Now, when we say past states, these are states that have passed the resolution calling for a convention of states, correct? So, Dale, how many past states do you have in your region then?
3.
3.
So we've got Indiana is a past state, Utah, and Wisconsin.
Okay, 3 states. So the others are still in play, and and I bring that up because that makes a difference as to how the state, the strategy that the state uses. I think in doing what they need to do. If they're a past state, if they're not a past state, the objective is, I think, quite different. I mean, that's obviously am I correct? That's the objective for a non-pass state,
right?
Is to get that resolution passed in their state.
Yeah, and in particular, both Idaho and Ohio are classified as harvest states, which means that they're coming very close because of activity within the state legislatures that they could pass at any time.
Okay, good. That would be great. I guess Kansas is in fact going to become our 20th state. Does that look?
Well, we sure do hope so. The legislature starts after the first of the year, and there will need to be a vote. But
Okay.
we will not have to deal with the supermajority issue that had happened before.
Right. That was the issue that was kind of holding things up. So, well, hopefully we can. We've been at 19 states for so long. It would be nice to be able to say 20 finally. That would be great. Well, Dale and Amy, tell our viewers how they can join Convention of States. Why join Convention of States and how to do that?
Well, I guess first of all, if you are a follower of news and you're looking at the things that Convention of States is involved in, one of the things that we're seeking is term limits on federal officials. And so you can look at the news headlines, you can look at the people that have 30, 40 years plus in Congress, that their primary concern is their reelection as opposed to serving the American people. That's something that we feel is important. There needs to be term limits, not just on elected officials, but on some government bureaucratic officials as well. That there may be times that they don't agree with the administration and they're holding back what the federal government wants to do, and those people should be limited as well. And then moving on from term limits, you've got the idea of federal overreach. We are federalists. We believe that we want more power to go back to the states. The way the Constitution was written, there were only defined things that the federal government was supposed to do, and we've kind of moved away from that. So we want decision making for the people close to where they live, within their towns, communities, within their own state house. For example, the Department of Education. That's in the process perhaps of being torn down, but at the national level, why do we need one? Why do we need to fund one?
Right.
Whenever all the states have departments of education and they basically work up the curriculums for their own states, and they know what their own states need. And so
I know this particular pillar of our resolution, this one, reining in government overreach, that's quite a broad. That's very broad. That takes in quite a bit, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah,
it does. And a lot of it has to do with Supreme Court decisions that have changed the course of what the original Constitution actually means and how it's interpreted.
Yes, definitely.
So that's important. And then, of course, if the last pillar is the budget problem that we face. We want to restrain spending and taxation. And since in the news recently, it was just reported that we topped $38 trillion in debt. And that's probably not all of it. That's just the part that's on the books. I mean, it's inconceivable to even think on those terms, really, the kind of debt that we're in. And so obviously that's unsustainable and something has to be done. And most of the states within the union have a balanced budget amendment that they have to live by. The federal government has kind of exempted themselves from that.
You know, I can remember when I first started in Convention of States, which would have been back in 2014 or so. I can remember when our national debt was like 5 trillion, you know, and how terrible we thought that was, and we got to do something about it. And of course, we've all watched it year after year continue to grow and grow and grow. I hope you would agree with me that, and as for our viewers, that Washington D.C. can't solve this problem. They just can't. They can't deal with this. Do you agree, Amy? That
I do, and that's the outline that Dale gave is what we are working on to make those changes at the federal level. Excuse me.
Okay.
And so, why should people? Your question was like, why should people join COS? Because we've identified 3 key areas that the federal government is failing us, and we as an organization are working towards being able to fix those issues on a permanent basis, not necessarily with executive orders, which we know are good, but we want to make permanent changes to the relationship between the federal government and the states.
And those permanent changes would come in the order of a constitutional amendment.
Yes.
Amending the Constitution. We're just proposing now, right? We're not passing amendments. We can't do that. We're just proposing. Okay.
Exactly.
So, anyone listening to these 2 individuals from the flyover region, if you're in any of those states, name the states again, please.
Sure, I can do that. It's Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Utah, and Idaho.
Okay. So, folks, if anyone living in those states, if you're interested in any of those pillars that we just talked about with our federal government, then Convention of States is the place you need to be. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, let's talk about a couple things, a couple concepts that we in Convention of States, I think, stress a great deal, and that's servant leadership and our core values. Dale, you wanna tackle servant leadership? Tell people that's something that you stress throughout the region. Am I correct?
That's true. Servant leadership is basically a training cycle that we go through. It's like, I think it's 8 or 9 lessons. It was originally developed from a book called Servant Leadership by David Kunert, but that has now been kind of rewritten in partnership with David Kunert with our own people. So now the training is more COS focused, and they've changed the order of some things so that it can, I guess, go across better to the people that are working within Convention of States. But the basic principle is that as Christ taught whenever he was upon the earth, and if you watched his life, he was primarily there in service of other people. He did everything that he could do to uplift, to heal, to make the lives better of the people that he served. And so within Convention of States as an organization, we've tried to adopt that so that whatever positions we have, for example, Amy and I, anybody within any of the states, anything that we can do for them to either make their job easier or to provide them with more resources or make things happen better for them, that is what we try to do. Our goal is to try to say yes whenever people ask us for something and provide them with whatever support we can give them, to make their job easier.
Kind of a bottom-up approach rather than top-down.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the pyramid of the organization, that's exactly the way they look at it. Mark Meckler's at the very bottom, and then it gets wider going up. And so at the very top, you've got all of the grassroots army, and it's everybody that's within the national team and the state teams try to do everything they can to support the people on the ground that are doing the tabling and the exhibits and the shows and the the individual talks at different events, county fairs, etc., gun shows, every place that you see us where we're trying to spread the message.
Okay. All right. All right. How about core values? Now, we're not going to take the time to list all the core values in COS, but I think there's like six or eight published core values. Six.
Mm-hmm.
Amy, do you want to comment on? I think they're very important because that's part of very much a part of the perspective that we try to approach issues here on COS today, the COS perspective. So Amy, you want to talk about what do we mean by the core values of Convention of States?
Sure. These are our guiding principles. So in every decision we make, each action we make, we look to our core values for guidance and to ensure that we're staying true to the values that Convention of States holds.
Okay. All right. All right. And those are very important. Like I said, they're very important in forming the COS perspective that we try to emulate here on COS today. All right. So what's a priority in your region as far as volunteer needs? How many, first of all, how many supporters, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. How many supporters are in your region? Supporters now.
Oh, that's a good question. And I don't know, I don't have that right at hand, but for example, for example, Indiana is upwards of they're what, about the 72,000 range within the state of Indiana.
Yeah.
And I can speak to Minnesota. There's 45,000 supporters.
45,000. So okay, so I'm sorry to pop that question on you. It just came to mind. But yeah, we're talking about a couple 100,000 for sure, probably.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well over that. Well over that, I would say. Yeah. Because I think Ohio is another big area of supporters, and I think they're over 100,000 just that state.
Okay. Are they really? All right. Okay. Well, those are supporters now. So the key here is to get people to volunteer, to actually commit to spending some time in COS. Do you have particular areas where you need volunteers in your region?
Well, I would say, there's a number of volunteer areas, as you are aware, but probably the one that is the most needed across the country is that of a district captain. I think probably Amy would agree with that.
Absolutely.
I mean, for example, in Indiana, where you are, there's 100 House districts. And so the ideal would be to have a COS volunteer in each one of those 100 House districts. And the role of a district captain is twofold. Number one is to develop a relationship with their legislator so that legislator can be aware of Convention of States and what our activities are going forth, within their state, and to look toward them for support when an eventual convention would happen. And then number two, the role of the district captain is to educate people around them locally. So within that House district, whatever those boundaries are, do whatever you can to get the COS message out. And that can be through, tabling at gun shows or at county fairs. Some people do block walking where they go house to house just to spread the COS message. Any method that you can use. Some people do, videos on YouTube or TikTok or other places. They, do things similar to what you're doing with your program. Any single tool that we can use to spread the COS message, that's what we're trying to do.
Okay. All right. Well, tell people briefly, how do they go about volunteering?
Well, we have a website. It's www.conventionofstates.com. And on the top part of that website, once you open it up, is a button called Take Action.
There you go.
You click on the Take Action, and it's going to walk you through the wide range of positions that we have. But you'll find that district captain spot right there. You just fill out that simple form. What'll happen is it will get filtered to the specific state you live in. And there they have leaders that will walk you through the process on how to become a proud COS volunteer.
Good, good. That's how you do it. That's how we've all done it. And and like Amy said, there are people designated in each state to do that follow up with anyone actually interested in volunteering. So we're not going to leave you hanging out there.
No, no.
Well,
if I might add, you said follow up. I think we differentiate ourselves from other volunteer organizations. If somebody signs a petition saying that they support our organization, they're going to get a phone call, usually within a couple, 2-3 days of when they sign that petition, because we really want to thank people for expressing their support for our organization.
excellent, excellent. Good deal. Well, let's talk about hot legislative issues. I'm sure you probably don't have any, but just kidding. What amongst your states, what are some of the hot legislative issues that we as an organization would like to affect or express an opinion on, talking to our legislators? I mean, this is dealing with our legislators, our state legislators, is a big part of a convention of states. So what are some of the legislative issues that are really, really pressing in some of your states right now?
Amy, you want that one or you want me to go?
Well, why don't you go and then I'll fill in. I could probably talk about Minnesota the best.
Okay, well, just in general terms, if it's not a pass state, passing the Convention of States resolution and getting the legislators on board with that's like the key thing. Second to that is an area of legislation that we call 34 Ready, which is basically a legislative document that spells out how, when a convention is called, the commissioners that are assigned to attend, the state basically gets to set the guidelines for what those people do, who goes, what their qualifications are, what their voting rights are, what committees that they have to report to, and it's very streamlined and very well defined as to what those people can do. And if they don't do what they're supposed to do, that the legislatures ask of them, they can be removed, and sometimes they can even be charged with a criminal penalty. It may even be a felony if they go outside of the scope of their jurisdiction. So that's a comfortable thing for the state, because they know whenever a convention is called, they have X amount of people that they already know they're going to send. They select those people, and they know that those people have guardrails to keep them functioning in the best interest of the state and the people there. And so outside of that, we get into areas of legislation that deal with federalism, with freedom, or with fundamental rights. They call it the 3 Fs. And that could be legislation that we either advocate or we can advocate against it. For example, this past session in Indiana, Senator Liz Brown sponsored some legislation that dealt with parental rights and making sure that parental rights were upheld within the schools. And that is something that we got behind, you got behind in Indiana, and that was a piece of legislation that passed. And so basically, once that legislation is identified, by the state team, word goes out to the state membership, and they basically each advocate with their own legislators in their districts that in fact we are for this or we are against it, whatever that choice may
And
be.
this is where our core values come into play as to determining which piece of legislation we want to support and which ones we don't. Okay, Amy, you wanted to add to that?
I think that was very thorough, very thorough.
Okay, very good, very good. Well, folks, that's about a wrap for us here. Quite honestly, we will put on our display on our program how to contact you. All right. And we'll put your phone number or your email address, whichever one you want us to use. And then people that are interested within your states and your region can reach out to you. Is that okay?
That's
That
awesome.
sounds great. We look forward to it. Come
All
join
right.
us.
Well, I think that's a wrap on. Is there anything else that you would like to add that maybe we haven't covered that you think is important?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Dale?
I would just say, it's against the will of the basic citizen to be active. We are primarily a passive people, and we watch things and we absorb things, but it's not really in our nature to get active and to go to political meetings, to speak out at podiums, and to tell the world what we really think. And that's important because that's part of our civic duty. And civics hasn't been widely taught in the last generation or two, as you know.
Right.
And so people need to rediscover the exceptionalism of America. They need to be able to know what they're fighting for. They need to know what the in-depth history is concerning the founders and all the people that have sacrificed going forward. I heard it said that from one educator that before people can truly advocate for America, they have to discover it. And he said it's much like asking an astrology student to take the class without ever having looked at the stars. And so that's what we need to do. We need to discover the truth about the history of America, what a wonderful country it is, and how dearly we need to fight for it to preserve what the founders gave us.
I can't add any more to that. I think that's very good. Dale, Amy, thank you very much for telling us about the flyover region. Thank you very much.
Thank
Glad
you,
to
Dale.
be here.
Well, folks, that's a wrap on our first region report, and we've just talked to the leaders in the flyover region. So we got many more reports to come. So that'll be a wrap. So have a good day, folks. Well, Ken, I just realized I didn't give you the phone numbers and email addresses of Dale and Amy, did I?
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. I thought I was waiting for them to pop up in the banners, and they never did. So I figured you got overtaken by the last statement of Dale Tipton that just overwhelmed you.
Let me give you, if I give you this information, can you post it here?
I can post this in chat. Yep. Let me get my typing fingers on. Go ahead.
Okay. For Dale Tipton, his email address is dale.tipton@cosaction.com.
Okay. Dale's up there.
And his phone number is 219-771-7184.
Got it.
Okay, for Amy. Sorry about this, folks. We'll make sure we have this done again. The next one, Amy is Amy.McCutcheon. That's MCCUTCHEON at cosaction.com.
All right, let me read that back to you because I want to make sure it's Amy.McCutcheon, MCCUTHEON, right?
No, MCCUTCHEON.
MCCUTCH.
EON at cosaction.com.
Got it.
All right. And her number is 952-737-3233.
Got it.
Sorry for that, folks.
That's all right.
All right. Ken, let's let Maringo Mike pop on here real quick and give us another reminder here, okay?
Rango Mike here, asking you to hit that like, subscribe, and especially that notification bell so you'll be reminded every time we go live. We really do appreciate your support. Now, back to our program.
All right. Well, we got another Dave's Daily Dose, and this one has to do with the young lady, the National Guard young lady that was recently one of the two that was shot and has passed away. So Dave had some words about her, and about that whole situation. So this is another Dave's Daily Dose.
I guess it was inevitable that someone in uniform was about to pay the supreme sacrifice in this dangerous urban environment. The strange part is that the nation's capital is usually not a war zone, at least not what you'd normally think of as a war zone, at least since 1812. The missus and I last summer had lunch at this cute little two-story Washington, D.C. restaurant with lots of international treats. We could have taken the Farragut West train station to get to the Capitol or to the Green Line South. We went south instead, and we weren't in uniform, so I guess we were a little safer. This is Dave's Daily Dose on BrokenRoadRadio.com. I'm David Allen Punt. Sarah Beckstrom was 20 years old. Let that sink in for a second. 20 years old. And some guy pulls a .357 Magnum and guns her down because of her uniform. Nobody's talking about a motive yet. Maybe the seditious six can come up with one for him. Or the paid-to-protest Antifa types who are roaming the countryside throwing dirt clods point blank at federal law enforcement cars. Children acting out in a country where they won't be gunned down for their insane behavior. Maybe it's time to take off the safeties. But we know what will happen then. Every sob sister and limp-wristed dude will take to the streets and march and protest and yell and scream. The sorry excuse for political leaders will leap to the nearest microphone and rant and rave, and slowly but slowly, the voters will stop thinking for themselves and start thinking that if they only give the anti-cop, anti-military, anti-establishment turkey necks another chance, they'll stop marching and yelling. They won't, especially if someone reasons that was the reason they got elected in the first place. I suppose it would be too much to ask where this Afghan illegal alien meatball got his convictions. He drove across the country to shoot National Guardsmen? What's in it for him? Who talked him into it? Might have been Mark Kelly, but there were no orders for him to disobey. There was a very concerted effort to put federal law enforcement in a negative light. Why else would you suggest unlawful orders are there for you to disobey? There should be a RICO-like statute for those who prepare the emotional ground so that unhinged among us will do dastardly deeds. Perhaps they could get adjoining cells, or at least their own last cigarette. I'm David Allen Punt.
Dave's always got some good thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
Good thoughts, doesn't he?
Great ones tonight. Good ones tonight.
All right. Ken, let's wrap things up this evening. Upcoming on COS today, on December 8th, we have a great presentation that's going to take place on gender identity. Who's doing that presentation, Ken?
Gee, you really you're really building up a huge segue to the project I've taken on. So yeah, I'm planning a great segment a week from tonight. You'll all want to tune in because we're going to have some excellent special guest, and we're going to cover this topic and give you some good insight.
Good deal. All right. Coming up then the following week on December 15th, I didn't post that correctly, did I? But December 15th, the Epstein files. and that's Ken Whaley is going to give us a presentation on the Epstein files and what's happening there. Okay. Then coming up on the fourth Monday of the month, which will be December 22nd, that's Christmas week, and we'll be doing a best of that week on that presentation. It'll be a pre-recorded best of, and we'll be doing that also the following week for the COS Today presentation, or COS Today on December 29th. I don't have that listed here, but we'll be doing a best of for that one too on New Year's week. So we're going to get 2 weeks off there, Ken. How about that, huh?
We'd have to sign up and go someplace.
Yeah. Well, if you have any comments about tonight's program, comments, questions, whatever it might be, drop us an email at raiseyourvoicecos@gmail.com. That's raiseyourvoicecos@gmail.com.
Yep.
Okay, and I think that's it for this evening. And did we have any comments or questions or anything from our viewers that
Not tonight. No, Dale, we didn't have any comments. Just a lot of good viewers and listeners, and everybody was intently listening.
Oh, good. All right. Super. Well, folks, once again, thank you for tuning in. And I hope you enjoyed our program tonight. We try our very, very best to address current issues from the Convention of States perspective. And so, because that's what we're all about, is the Convention of States. So, Ken, thank you. And let's let Maringo Mike close us out here this evening. And everyone, have a good evening. Thank you very much.
Good night.
Marengo Mike here with a reminder that our work to raise the bar on making our federal government accountable to the people is only halfway done. We need to grow our grassroots army of citizens every day to fulfill the vision of our forefathers and keep our land free and prosperous. So, if you have never signed the petition to show your support, use that QR code and do that now. While you're there, why not kick it up a notch and volunteer for many of the positions available where your talents can make a difference as we march into a new year. Thank you, and God bless.